Woo! Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Goonie, your art Sherpa, and today, finally, we are going to be getting Morgaine, the Big Art Quest Fairy Tale version. These are multi-part classes. We get together, meet for about an hour, really drill on a single kind of painting topic, and then each week add to it. At the end of several weeks, you have a really gorgeous, very advanced painting, but it's explained super step by step. So even if you're new to painting, you can really accomplish a lot more than I bet you can even imagine. This is the 10th in our series of fairy tales that we've done. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
He handles all the mayhem. And this morning, as those of you who were here for the early live chat have witnessed, and some of last night and things, he fights the gremlins that sometimes attack the studio, which is very busy business. These gremlins, these tech gremlins, are really intense updates and software and integrations. And anytime YouTube changes anything, it's just always a surprising adventure. Things are at least always different every time we show up for live. So for everyone who hung in, thank you. And if you're here on the replay, I'm so excited to have you for this particular BAQ. I'm really excited to paint Morgaine. If you're a fan of Camelot, you have heard of many different versions of this mythology. Though she goes back before Camelot, which is sort of interesting. We're definitely going to be doing La Fée version of this, as you can tell. So kind of our cool anti-hero is going on here. I like to do the more positive aspects of female mythology, even if sometimes those women are represented in a negative light, because, you know, we got to celebrate the women who are powerful and amazing and magical, just like you. I'm ready to jump in. Are you guys ready to jump in?
I am.
I bet they are. They've been waiting. All right, let's get into it. So I have here our references. You can find this information and the traceable on the website in the link in the description down below, including the materials. We update the brushes as we're using them, so you can have a brush list, just really everything you need. You can duplicate this at home. Remember, you don't have to have my exact paint or my exact materials or my exact brush to get a beautiful painting. These are all about artistic preferences, though I do tell you exactly what I'm using. Now, so this is the reference, and we're going to be gridding her in. So I'm going to put this right here. Gridding is using a system of squares where it helps us draw in complicated shapes. And this is really great if you're not good at drawing, but you're wanting to do more freehanding. However, use the traceable if you're not into it. And this is available for you on the webpage that you can see. Now, I have an 11 by 14 art board here. I get these at Michael's. They're little artist loft ones. They come in packs. They're super inexpensive. I don't normally do wishes on the BAQ, but so much stuff has come in. Like today, so many messages, and I'm going through a thing. So I'm going to say I am wishing for relief and peace of mind and spirit for any and all who are going through any struggles of any kind around mental health challenges. So whatever it is anybody's going through, if you hear this right now, my wish for you is that things improve and you find some modicum of relief or peace or well-being, because sometimes it's about those little ladder steps to feeling better. John is always telling me it's not about feeling all the way better, it's about feeling a little bit better. So hopefully this painting today maybe contributes to that little bit better sense of relief. I have here a number 30 bright ruby satin. What basically this is a big brush that lets me paint the whole canvas real fast. So any brush that you like for that. I have Dioxazine Purple, and I have Burnt Sienna, and we're going to use this as our ground, as our background color. Though before I paint it on, I'm going to go ahead and take my watercolor wish and brush it into the ether where it will go, you know, somewhere in the middle of my existential crisis that John has caused for making me watch too much Kirk's Aghast. Just really love that YouTube channel, but every once in a while they give me a thought that causes me a great deal of pause.
Yeah.
And worry. At least they educate me, so that's something. All right, so I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to get a little bit of purple on here. You can see it's quite dark, and a little bit of my burnt sienna, loosely mixed, and we're just going to brush this all in, all around our canvas. Little purple, little brown. It's a very kind of streaky, messy mix. It's just really making our canvas kind of purple and brown. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing. Sometimes you can do more brown if you want to in a mix. We have many layers up and down in value that we're going to go. this is also going to make it easy for us to see our grid.
Yeah.
I love day one of any of the quests because day one is always just put in the background and grid it in.
It's the simplest of the days.
It's my favorite day.
Whoa.
Except that one day with the vase.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what was going on with me there, but I imagine today will be a simpler day.
I was backseat drawing.
I don't think it was you, but I appreciated you falling on that sword. You know that's marriage, is when your husband pretends something is him that is in no way him.
Well,
He'll be like, I did it.
I was
It's all me."
providing some distraction of going, no, go left, turn up.
Oh, he's so sweet. See how sweet he is? All right. I don't know. Just painting in the background.
Just painting it.
It's fun. It's relaxing. On days you need just kind of a chill thing is background day. Now, always rinse out your brushes thoroughly. And then, even if you rinse them out thoroughly in the water, remember to wash these with soap and water after every single painting session.
Every single painting session?
Every single one.
You mean I can't just toss them next to the sink and let them turn into sticks for days at a time and then go, oh, I should wash those? Shouldn't do that, even though you do have the best soap on the planet.
I feel like there's commentary being made here.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying we make an amazing soap, and if you guys ever have any problem, you get the soap that will turn sticks into brushes again. You should dry that canvas.
I'm going to dry this canvas. Well, John can talk to you about washing brushes after every session to prolong their life, and some tips and tricks on maybe appropriate cleaning ideas.
All right. So, despite peeling out of my marriage-causing dispute, we'll say, yeah, you should wash your brushes for sure. Definitely, that I think goes without saying. Also, don't use heat. Heat can cause color shift, and that's where basically the drying process causes the paint to shift up or down in color, depending on whether you're using watercolor or acrylic. And now that, even though I've said this a million billion times, Cinnamon has reminded me that acrylic, I think acrylic lightens and watercolor darkens, but they do this funky thing when you apply heat to them, which makes them not good. So
You're
don't use
supposed to
heat.
talk about brush washing.
I did.
Oh, okay.
You were gone a little while.
Okay.
I'm a fast talker.
Long. It wasn't like I used any slow drying agent in here. Today is a coffee day.
It's a total coffee day.
Grids. So in this grid, you're going to notice something. We have 2-inch squares. That means I make a mark every 2 inches and draw a line, except for this one, which represents a 1-inch square. And that's because this is 14 by 11. So a little harder to divide by 2s. Or 11 by 14, or however that goes. So you'll see here, right, how that works is I go 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, 8 inches, and then 10 inches making a mark. Right? I'm going to go ahead and go down, making these little lines. The reason I'm doing this one on a 2-inch grid instead of a 1-inch grid, which you could also do.
Your last grid line is kind of not
perfect.
There's
nothing over there, so I wasn't that worried about it.
It's an inch from the edge. Oh, I see. Oh, up on the top, I guess on the reference image, it's that way too.
Yeah.
I get it. All right. I'm catching on.
It's, there's a way to do this perfectly using the maths, but I don't do that. And John, as you can see, is very busy, so I would go, hey, John, can you do my grid math for me? I did say, could you make an app?
We got that.
Fixes these problems, so, he's working on it, but not in the do maths area.
Nah.
If you're wondering what I'm sketching this in with, this is a general chalk, pastel chalk white pencil. This is the slightly better one. I got this at Michael's, and it worked out really, really well, so I likes it. Okay, so interestingly enough, this one does a pretty good job of going every 2 inches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Woohoo! So much easier. And what's nice is the T-square goes all the way across this particular surface, so not as big of a challenge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a how to grid video soon, guys, and then I'm going to start coming in the videos with this all pre-done.
There will be many Tron references in the grid video.
Will there?
Well,
I mean, if you really must.
Flynn welcomes us to the grid.
All right. I'm going to let you do that. We are got a lot going on. I have an appearance this weekend in Dallas at Michael's in Louisville, and so it just created a bunch of interesting new challenges for the week. So you should have something like that, a little grid. And how you make this work is you come here and you find your square, so 3 squares over, and you basically draw the shape entering and exiting the square as you see it. Right? So I'm going to come here. Her head starts at about the halfway point and even exits just a little bit past the halfway point, right? So you come
Your
here and be
reference
like,
is better than mine, so
here,
I'm just gonna,
and then this side kind of comes down. You'll notice even her face, the part of her face that's coming in and out, is really, most of what we're seeing here with her is her hair. Take this down to the halfway mark. So this is how I'm going to use this to sketch it in. Again, if this is a lot, you know what you do? Use a traceable. What you don't do, freak out and decide that you can't draw or paint, because that is not true. And in the traceable, I did the situation where I raise that up. And I know that that's raised up because the her line is right there, and you want to make sure that the eyes are halfway between the tip of the forehead and the chin, and then the nose should be about halfway between that, and then the mouth is generally halfway about that. That's just general figure drawing information. So we've got a shoulder that's coming in and out right here. What's nice is that's right there. We don't need a too specific drawing of her yet, and here's why we don't. We're going to just be doing these leaves in the background first. We just need to know where we don't have to bother painting. So we can be like, well, I don't really got to bother painting there. No, but might as well get this in while we've got the chance. And then we're going to go through and check our grid drawing against some figure drawing facts and see how we did. So that's always going to be fun. I like the counter pose that she's got going here, which is this sort of gestural line of her hip being jutted out. Makes me happy. There's the neckline here. And because it's counterposed, that shoulder can drop, which is always nice in any type of figure drawing. Where do elbows go? They go nicely tucked in at the hips, don't they? That's where we like our little elbows to be. There we go. And then we'll have that little hand here. There's going to be a lot happening with the hand, so right now I'm going to do the paddle and add the thumb. We have a group of fingers that come down like this, and then she's got another finger that's sort of pointing up like that. So it's just easier to do the paddle. If you're not familiar with the paddle, you have a kind of tapered line at the wrist, and it comes out wide where the fingers are going to connect. And you can use that to attach the objects of your hand to it. Woo! We'll go into that more as we get there. This is going to be an interesting little bit of kit, this glass. And the hand positioning around it. Just because she's got a very awkward position. And we may have to think about artistically improving both this glass that she's holding, like making it more interesting, like maybe think about making it bigger. Look at that. Making it more chalicey. That looks like a much more magic kind of Morgaine glass. We'll have to see what weirdness we can do there. Depends on how quickly we get her painted in.
Mm-hmm.
how much extra weirdness we like to put in. We don't, I'm going to do an ellipse here. We don't, in general, doing some erasing. Just clean water in a brush. We don't rush ourselves too much in this class.
No.
This is not the rush class.
And today we don't have a whole lot to do, so this is pretty easy. Just kind of.
Well, we'll get some leaves and stuff in. We'll go an hour.
All right.
Let me know when we're at about an hour.
Can do.
You know, we'll go for a bit and then
15.
Huh?
We're only about 15 minutes in.
Oh yeah, let's get some background in. Because we really just need to know where these objects are.
What are those objects? Those sketchy lines that you've put on that surface? Those are going to be something, you think?
Yeah. And I imagine my hand is going to do something like that. See, I just kind of sketched that in there. Some fingers holding here, and then maybe the other two fingers holding here, thumb sticking out.
You just...
Yeah, I can just whip those in. You know why you can do that? Because somewhere in our school, somebody always challenges you to do a notebook of hands and feet. And you think that's the secret to success, and then you make a notebook of hands and feet.
And you
know what
don't
you
ever
have?
use it until today.
Hmm?
You don't ever use it until today.
Well, it is a little more challenging to use. I will say that that's true. I'm going to put, I've got nice bird seeing out.
You do.
I'm going to put out a little Indian yellow. Quite lovely color. I've got some purple out. I'm going to go ahead and also put out, if I can get this cap back on my Indian yellow to save my life. Let me go. Struggling with caps as usual. That's how you know it's me and not an imposter. Can't spell, struggles with caps. Is that my D&D name? Can't spell, struggles with caps. I'll get this I'm going to use a quinacridone magenta here. This is in this line. It's called quinacridone fuchsia, but it's the same pigment, so it's the same color. We just like to have a little bit of it there, perhaps as a color to tip into. And then I'm going to put out my cadmium red, fabulous color that we will be dealing with. And I will possibly, don't really see myself needing any of the yellow. I do think I need some tinting white. And then probably some white. And then everything else will be relaxing and fun through the painting session. Taking a deep breath, letting it out. Releasing the stress through our chest and shoulders and body. Yay. All right, now I'm going to get a scruffly brush. This here is a number 10 Cambridge, and looking at it, I'm thinking in the surface, you want to use the biggest brush you can get away with to get an effect, especially when you're doing background stuff, so I think I'm going to work the 10. This is a mix of synthetic filament and bristles, and so it's one of the few brushes that lets you use kind of traditionally what would be an oil brush, but with acrylic, it won't over soften on you. You dip it in water and you drag off the extra. The trick with your bristle brushes is never let them get soft and mushy. And I'm going to begin by taking a little of my burnt sienna and my Indian yellow and my tinting white. And we're going to come back here and begin to speak about some distant little trees. Distant little trees. Isn't that nice?
Those trees.
Actually, I may go ahead and get rid of my grid now. I don't need it in any way.
You don't need the grid.
No, I don't need the grid.
Whatever will we do without a grid?
Paint around her head very carefully.
Oh, well, that's probably
it's
true.
It's just a good time to get rid of it. I don't want her to pop. I don't want it to pop back up like it did in Lechuza.
I got rid of the grid. Don't worry.
Well, I would never get rid of you. I'm just getting rid of grids.
Well,
You're safe.
Well, thank you. I didn't know that I was in danger of being scrubbed out with the grid.
Well, no. But that would be a creepy superpower, wouldn't it?
Watch out, I'm going to
Can
de-grid
brush
you.
you out? That's not cool. It's a terrible use of super. There was a SpongeBob episode where he had an eraser where he could erase things like living things. I was like, this is a really scary episode for me, just in general. All right, there we go. Isn't that nice? So a little more of the burnt sienna and the Indian yellow. You can see I'm just
Now,
making some little marks here.
so I see a whole lot of red. I don't see that color.
Really? In the background?
Oh, I guess so. It is there in that background.
Right in
yeah.
this space?
Oh, yeah. I guess I
Down in
hadn't
here?
seen that in there.
Yeah.
That's. I guess that's what all those layers are for, huh?
That's what the layers are for, because we're doing that specially good painting. So what you're seeing me do is very soft little marks that kind of give some impression of a leaf, but in themselves not leaves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we wouldn't want leaves. And I'll just bring this a couple of places because it's all about the layers.
It
all
is.
about the layers. A little more burnt sienna. Not getting any tinting one in over here because it'll get darker as it comes over. And you can see this brush is just fantastic. And the purple being able to peek through is also fantastic. It's just awesome. Bring it over here a little bit too. Don't worry too much about the detail in a lot of this space because we're going to have a big smoke cloud where we're really going to get involved in the detail. So this is about creating a stage for the following techniques. Like you do.
So
also put out a little Mars black.
I'm not sure if it's the owl necklace you're wearing there.
Mm-hmm.
But they were one that's a very pretty necklace. But he looks a little like Bubo.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, from
Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
We're
So
such dorks.
what is you have a little bit of an owl preference, don't you?
I do like owls.
You do like owls?
I do like them owls. Owls are cute. Whoop, whoop. They're so cute. All right, I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna.
Derail the Sherpa.
No, this is perfect. Was someone asking if I like owls?
Yes, they were asking.
They were like, does she? I'm going to add a little cat
Do you
right
have a
into
thing
this.
for owls?
I have a thing.
You certainly did early on. You painted a lot of them.
Yeah, my very favorite thing is when somebody comes to the channel and is like, do you have any owl paintings? I just like cackle with joy. Because I always want to be like, do I have any owl paintings? So I'm just loading this up with cad red and the black and the brown, just kind of warming that up and coming through here. It's just the beginning of that, right? That's a nice little brown space that we'll be getting. Little cad red. And then here's an interesting move you can make. You can get into your dioxazine purple with your cad red as well. And it creates a really spectacular color. Yes, it's muted, and yes, there's, this little stuff going on, but its warmth, its vibrancy is delightful. Take this right up to her. Even though I'm going to be coming in with like some detail brushes, I just want to make sure that she's got spaced stuff. I love getting in a good background on the first day. That sets us up so well, guys. It really does.
Oh, yeah.
Da, da, da. You can see if you add more red to it, it does some cool things. I'm kind of knocking that back. I may come in with a little of my Indian yellow. Notice I didn't rinse my brush at all. I'm going to come back and make some highlights with a smaller brush. I'm just wanting to blend this all in a little bit together. Creating little moments in the background.
Little moments.
You got to get little moments.
Yeah.
Little moments of, what? Rinse out. Sometimes even when you're like doing a mix through, you want to rinse out. And the reason being is that the paint begins to dry on your brush. As you come down here, I'm going to take a little of my Docs purple and my Cad red, but mixing it much more to the purple. And we're going to create this very dark background, loose. And this is going to be something we build up on as we come down. See how these are very loose, kind of, and they're light. This will give us the structure. Like I said, the stage. We got to set the stage for the drama of this painting.
Yeah.
Let's say this is the moment when Morgane found out that she was being blamed for all of Camelot. She's like, wait, yo, no way. I am the hero. You don't even know.
So I got a little confused here. Joe asked an interesting question here.
Purple and brown again.
And I thought he was asking about the line of acrylic paint as opposed to the abstract acrylic versus the Senlier acrylic, which are a little different product.
Yeah.
Now, you're currently using the Senlier acrylic.
I'm using the Senlier. This is the fine artist acrylic.
Okay, the fine artist acrylic.
I can take a question. We're, again, traveling slowly, and this is about questions.
Yeah, I'm super sorry.
No, I like this. This is what I like about Big Art Quest days. The slow, relaxed, learn about it pace, answering questions.
Yeah, and, you know, since I've got you distracted, we do sometimes jump track and talk about community stuff, and that's something we find adds value to this whole journey. So, you know, just kind of who we are.
So yeah, if you're ever here and you're like, I get this note on occasion, not from everyone, obviously, because we have like 500,000 subscribers, so clearly some people like it. But every once in a while, somebody will come in and be like, why isn't it just music and no talking? One, we have that channel. It's called TheArtSherpa Retreats.
Yep. You can go join us over there.
You can join us. I don't talk at all, and it's just music and time lapse. It's very chill. But we found that this helps keep people's energy up, keeps their focus good, keeps them really engaged in the painting, because painting is a process of subtleties, and sometimes you don't want to rush through the process. And then the social bit reminds us that we're all here being together and keeps us from isolating. So that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, and we like it. We like
it. So what was Joe asking?
Your paint. So this is different than the student paint that you were using earlier.
Yes.
Now, it uses...
This is the student paint by this company.
Okay.
This is one of 2 student brands that I do recommend. I don't recommend a lot of student brands. I recommend Abstract, and I think Amsterdam Acrylic is okay, but Abstract is the one I like and I use.
Now, this stuff here, the Pro Paint you're using, does it use less water than your other brands of Pro Paint?
Yeah. This one is more water sensitive than Golden. Golden, you need more water to modify it. This, you use less water to modify it. Gotcha. Every brand of Pro Paint has a slightly different personality. They're all supermodels, but they're not the same supermodel. That makes sense. You know, they all have a different brand.
I think it's an interesting analogy. But
well,
all right. I think that was just it. He was just wondering about that. And sorry.
No, it's a good question, because it's good to know that just because you switch to a Pro Paint, I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna and my dioxazine purple again, making this dark kind of color that everything will build up on. And we're almost using the purple as a black in this particular case, if that makes sense. And then now we're getting way more into the red for this background. See, it's not full red, but there's a reddish cast to it as we move up through the trees. These trees will build on a very red background. And we're going to very softly, look how we're softly working this in.
I see the soft working.
So, and you'll notice that I move my arm and I change the direction of my brush, or maybe I roll it sometimes. Right? And that is how I get kind of this uneven, soft, out of focus background. Now up here, I'm going to go darker with the purple. Quite a good bit, because up here there's a very dark corner. You know, and I will look for that around the canvas. Where are these dark corners that I need to enforce? Like down here, pure purple. I'll layer that up. That gives me a nice dark area to build those wonderful little grasses from. There can even be a couple little spots of this dark up here. But look, I don't put them everywhere. I don't put them everywhere. Just a little bit. Like camouflage.
Yeah.
Think of this as like camouflage. Do I use my reference? Sure. If I see a shape right here that kind of goes like this, I'm going to come up like that. If I see a little opening there, whatever I can see or process, I'm going to duplicate in my space. If you're ever wondering, how do I decide where I put that paint down? I look for a spot and I'm like, oh, there's one right here. Oh, there's one right there. Right. That's the other reason keeping the square printout around can be helpful in saying, I'm thinking about this spot next to her head. Because even without the grid, it's still, you know, on your canvas, it gives you an idea like, oh, there's a little spot right here next to her head, isn't there? Sorry, I'm getting a little overexcited. I'm not trying to yell at you. Right? At her shoulder, there might be a little darker spot. Look at us go. Because we're awesome like that. Rinsing this out quite thoroughly if we can. Putting that down aside. I think I'm going to get, I'm trying to decide between grabbing a cat's tongue and a round. I think I'm going to just get a round at the moment. All right. Now I've got a little blackout, which is right here. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And I might get a little purple into it. Maybe a little brown, just kind of incorporate. Now there's sort of this little bunch of sticks going off the canvas over here, isn't there? Trees. Let's paint those in. Those were nice. I liked them, which is one of the reasons I picked this surface. And here we go, painting that in. Yeah. No, on Big Art Quest days, we love to chat with our community. So John will often be like, hey! And that is good. We want that. You know, maybe I'm going to put a little implied branch right there.
Yep.
I like that. There isn't too much going on. Just for the purposes of the composition, though, I may go ahead and add this implied branch right there so that it's a little tree-er. Technical term. I'm going to get my tinting white, and you'll really see the color that we have right here.
Now, there's
and I'm
a
going to go
question.
ahead and add a little highlight into the trees a bit.
When you get to another stop, I got a good question.
Okay. I can actually answer one while I'm here.
Oh.
We're just painting in. I'm painting in on the right side of my implied little branches some of this tinting white and our base tree mixture just to begin the highlight impression.
So can you use Floetrol to thin your paint?
Okay, so here's my thing on Floetrol. A lot of people are using it. It is an experimental product in an art studio. It wasn't made for painting, it was made for painting houses. The only safety testing on that product was done for painting houses. So their exposure expectation, if you look at the safety sheet, it says for expected use. What's expected use? How often do they expect you to paint a house?
Not often.
Not often.
And with specialty equipment.
And right. So it's a very early unknown. People are loving it. They like it as a product. I don't know what the safety is, and I don't know how it affects the longevity of your paint. You can always use water to thin your paint. And you can use, there are, like Artist Loft has medium now. It's super inexpensive, less money than Floetrol.
I was going to ask that. Aren't the actual mediums that are designed for this
they're
less
much
expensive?
better, and sometimes they're less expensive.
Yeah.
Like Deco, a pouring medium is actually less expensive than Floetrol, and I'm like, it's made for it, and it does cells, and you don't have to add silicone. So it's hard to know. And again, I've talked to the Floetrol company, and I know this is kind of a big soapbox, but it's something we have to think about as artists, right? Is this product safe for me to use every day? Because there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that I know for a fact recommend techniques that won't work, right? They'll fail. They're not going to work. It's just,
It's for
YouTubery.
It's for views. It's performance art.
It's performance art, and it's not true. It will cause the paint to fail over time. And some of the techniques I see out there demonstrated are life-threatening. Threatening to you, threatening your family.
You should not use fire, just
you
in
should
general.
no one should be recommending that you use fire on your paint.
Fire and acrylic should not mix.
No, fire and paint. Let's just say this. Fire and pigment should not mix.
Just don't keep your fire out of your studio.
There are some specific resins where there is no VOC created when you heat it with fire, and that's part of the curing process, but that's not your paint. That's a different product.
Yep.
Read the safety instructions on everything is my thing. And especially when you're new, I think that's the least there needs to be so much more education about studio safety. I can't say it enough. This stuff is safe if you read the instructions. Cadmium pigment, right, can be quite dangerous. You shouldn't eat it.
But it's safe.
It's safe from the palate to your paint. It doesn't have a VOC. There are no fumes. You know, if you were to airbrush with it, then it could become a danger to your health if you weren't wearing a NOS respirator. It wouldn't be a danger to your health if you were wearing the appropriate respirator and had the correct ventilation in your studio.
Safety gear.
Safety gear
It
matters.
works.
All right, so that's my soapbox on that. So I don't really have a positive or negative to say about Floetrol, except be aware of that it's not made for this. And so the safety sheet reflects what it's made for.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll have to see. I hope all the artists that are being our test case subjects are okay. Because whether they realize it or not, they've volunteered to test this product for us. And that's the only thing when you're doing very experimental things in your acrylic. I've taken some Indian yellow. I haven't really rinsed out my brush from that mix because the purple will gray my Indian yellow. Got into my tinting white, and I'm just making some little highlights on these little trees. You can see I wiggle my brush back and forth. I'm just trying to get a little bit. That got a little bit away from me. I got a little enthused. So I'm going to come back with a damp brush, and look, just remove it. Look, acrylic can't erase. People forget. Acrylic can totally erase. And maybe a little bit here. We're just catching some, like, little pops of sunlight have hit the tree, if that makes sense. Now I've got my purple and my black kind of mixed together. And if I get my titanium white, you'll see that this is a very strong tinting strength. I'm going to come just, again, touch in some little highlights. So you go, mark, 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 mark. Quite a fussy business I'm up to right now. But now at this point, you should be able to see these as branches that are coming out of the background. And we had a lot of fun painting them. So why not? We need a smaller, scruffily brush. Yes, we do. So I'm going to take my Indian yellow and my cad red, and I'm going to make some oranges. I'll get my tinting white into this. Maybe a little of my burnt sienna, and I'm going to come here and make some highlights in the forest. See how I dab that out? These are little pops of light that we're seeing out of focus in bokeh out on the leaves. I don't want it to be white. I do want it to be in color. So, you know, try not to make patterns. If you can avoid it. Try to make shapes, but not patterns.
It's very interesting how when you put the layers on, you can start, like, at first it was just like there's just some crazy brush strokes. And then you put another layer on, I was like, oh, well, maybe those could be some leaves. And then you put these little highlights in, it's like, oh, I can sort of the background sort of coming in into focus. And it's sort of like you're bringing the camera into focus from the back layer forward.
Yeah, I like to paint my acrylic paintings from the furthest objects back forward. That is not the only way people do it. It's just the one that I enjoy and helps keep me, you know, able to see what I've got going on the easiest. So that's why I choose to use that. And I'm going to rinse this out quite well. In the background, we have a bit of the Cad Red in the Doc's Purple, is what I'm going to say it goes with. I might even get a little of my quinacridone Magenta into it. Kind of a nice 3-paint mix. Let's see how that goes. Oh, perfect. These are distant, but still, they begin to have the bright leaves that we really need to address that will be coming forward. I'll put just a couple in the crux of that tree. And you can see this is a number 4 Cambridge. I'll put that in the description after. It needed a soaping, I can tell. There we go. So again, I'm going to load up with my mix, which is the Cad Red, the quinacridone Magenta, and a little Doc's Purple. And back to it we go. Lovely, isn't it? This is not these forward-facing leaves. And when we hit the hour mark, John's going to let us know, and then we'll find a wrapping up place like I make my kids do when they're gaming.
You're doing okay. You're at 42 minutes.
Perfect. Well, just put in some leaves and everything till we get to the hour. And then the next time we meet up, which will be next Thursday, we will continue on refining and bringing into focus other elements. We'll start blocking her in and getting in her underpainting while also refining this background area with some of these leaves and twigs. Should be a fun day. Fun day.
Fun day.
Hand day and face day are the days where you're like, oh! Especially hand day. Fabric day is a pretty good day.
It is.
Hair day is going to be great because I don't know if you noticed this, but she had like this purple hair, and I'm going to lean into that.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was like, oh, I like that. Some of these paintings, some of these references, I really change up. But this one, I was like, I'm pretty happy with where she's at right now, so we're just going to paint her as is. Like, that just really captured my sense of who she would be. And I'm really enjoying my background. I need to get back into this space here a little bit. Yeah, we're coming in with a smaller brush, creating the beginnings of what will be the forest right up to the glass. I like this. Look at how our little branches are come out. And then when these branches are over here, we're going to be like, woohoo! Fun stuff. Quinacridone, Cad Red, and a little Doc's Purple. We are mixing complex colors here because we awesome. When we come in with these bright pops, wow, it's going to be so amazing. But I really want to be able to spend as much time as I need to on this leaf space because I think it's one of the best parts of the painting is this red around her extraordinary purple, which I'm very much looking forward to painting. And then after her, we've got Oya.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a traditional, actually she might be historical and mythology, but she's a traditional African myth, but she may also be from history. There was a series of warrior queens. Little things that you read about when you're doing research for an art quest. You're like, oh, she's awesome. Let's make one with her. I have a very Grace Jones inspired one coming up that I'm pretty excited to do. But For me, like, it's going to be so challenging to handle all the fur, and I'm just trying to decide if I want to do the tattoo work, the white lining, the kind of like anti-henna that's on there is really intense. But I am glad we are going to complete all 12 of these pieces. I really hope when we're all done, Questers, that you will come into the Big Art Quest group and the ArtSherpa official group, all groups, everywhere, and my page, just anywhere you can go, and all over social media. Because when we get all 12, I think we should post a I did all 12 kind of thing. If you will indulge me.
Mm-hmm.
How is everyone doing?
Pretty good.
Have they
This has been a
remembered to
pretty
breathe?
hoppin' chat today.
Is it a hop and chat?
It's pretty hoppin' chat.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys being very understanding for last night. I'm really excited to do the Wizard of Oz. And I was bummed to have to bump, but I'm looking forward to painting it with you. So hopefully everyone will come back when it's time. This is just super lovely.
My cameras have been a little quick today. They had a cup of coffee or something before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They've been giving you some grief is what they've been doing. They've been very badly
Today
behaved cameras.
they've been misbehaving. They've been like the misbehavers. Like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
I've added a little more cad red here. Begin to pull out just a couple little spots. Just to see where it's at. I think we'll get into on these forward leaves, we may go kind of deeply into the alizarin crimson, but I'm going to put a couple of these like distant hot spots.
Yeah.
Just in the same way we had those light moments. It's important to, get into the light. Go into the light, Caroline.
I just
you knew that was coming.
I knew that was coming.
I just can't.
Could not say it and then it not happen.
That's a weird thing I used to say to my bullies in school. However could I have been bullied? Your response is, go into the light, Caroline. Wherever could the bullying have come from? I'm so glad that kids today are starting to have this conversation about how unacceptable it is to bully. Because when I was growing up, that was something you were supposed to learn to deal with because that was adult life you were getting ready for. Do you remember that messaging? This is what it's like in the adult world, and you got to learn to deal with your bully. Or my very favorite, hit them in the face as hard as you can so they stop.
Don't
do that now. That'll get you expelled right out of school.
It was really funny because like I kind of went into my job life expecting that,
and
then I went to work for Compact,
and that is not allowed.
And no. It was like, they were like, yeah, no, this is a real company and this is how real world works. And we expect you to be able to come to work and not be harassed and be able to do your job and have a good place to work and like people near you. And man, that was an awesome company to work for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. I think we have to set a culture from the highest levels to the lowest levels, and from families and communities all the way up into like large structures, that bullying is not okay.
No, it's unnecessary.
Yes, super unnecessary.
It speaks to a power inadequacy that oftentimes, or an imbalance that isn't appropriate.
Yeah, it's just not appropriate. I'm getting a darker value. I'm coming in and working my darker values. I know this has become a PSA about bullying suddenly, but it's a real thing. I certainly went through it. Went through quite a lot of it in school. Quite a lot. I probably had some feelings that were deep and should have been more addressed in school. I went to school for about a year in my pajamas and slippers.
Yeah.
May have been an indicator that I wasn't feeling great about stuff. But if you keep your grades up, I don't know, they let it go. It was that Pretty in Pink era where you could have a complete girl interrupted moment and they were like, look, she's so quirky. I grabbed some black by accident, but I'm going to just kind of blend it in. It's okay. Sometimes I'll mix up the purple and my black, but then I'll just blend in that value. And I'm just trying to make sure that I've got some deep shadows and deep stuff. I think we're in a good stopping place.
We're at 50 minutes.
Yeah,
50.
this is great. We can
50.
take a question before we're out, and then
Let's see
we'll meet
here.
up next Thursday, same bad time, same bad channel.
Let's see
Oh,
here.
see, that's kind of, doesn't that have a gorgeous glow? I'll be sure and post this in the big art quest in a pin post.
All right.
Get
So
all that stuff in there.
when you get a new brush, especially, so the general question is, there's some questions in here. What
Okay.
do you do with a new brush? Is it, especially if it's a natural fiber?
Natural brush, you wash the heck out of it before it comes near your canvas. You're going to want to wash it thoroughly in the sink, and you're going to want to get your fingers in there and gently work out any loose bristles. In most natural brushes, because they are handmade, not machine made, they 1 or 2 of the flagged hog bristles will come out. You should not lose 20 or 30. That would be too many. And you want to wash it vigorously so you don't get that one extra. I don't know what that was.
I pushed all the wrong buttons.
You don't want to get that one extra filament that you don't want.
Yep.
So that's what you would want to do that. Now with a synthetic brush, I would wash the sizing out. Just rinse it gently with some warm water and get the sizing out, but it doesn't really need anything else.
Yeah.
And then after, you really, 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 even though John teases me, want to get all the paint out of your brushes after every painting session, because if you don't, it shortens their life greatly.
Yeah. That's good.
And the other thing you should know about these guys is if you paint with them a lot, they will wear away.
Well,
It's actually why the first filbert happened, is because bristles, as you paint with them, will wear down, and your painting style will start to shape the brush. And very often it'll round, and that's where that came from.
Gotcha.
Kind of a cool fun.
I keep thinking that you're going to go up front.
No, I can turn around in front in a minute.
You
All
go
right, I'll
front?
go here.
All right.
I got it.
There you are.
There I am. Look at
There-
that.
See?
He painted her and
You-
made a drip.
I'm in that
There she is.
what
you
is
kind
the
of get that
Pavlovian.
luminous, glowing background has started.
Yeah.
I love
like
these
it.
Big Art Quest days. They're just my joy. I hope they're your joy too. They're my joy. I love being able to just tootle along instead of the furious pace of YouTube.
Mm.
We do the gentle pace of the Big Art Quest, floating along on a wind. I don't know, Mary Poppins moment. Sorry.
All right. I guess you and Bubo got to go.
I do. And you do too. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you next week for the second part of Morgan Le Fay. Bye-bye.